This is a tidy piece of business. Let's take a look at this deal right here between the Minnesota Wild and the Philadelphia Flyers. Take a look at this. It is a Bobby Brink for David Jiricek deal. And I am very intrigued as to how this one is going to pan out long term, because both of these guys, Brink and Jiricek, are former top prospects. Jiricek maybe a little bit more so, but Bobby Brink is no slouch either. And these two guys getting swapped for each other does open some new opportunities, some new doors for either of these guys. Michael Russo says it's a done deal. We're not too sure if there are any picks or extra assets, but honestly, Brink for Jiricek, even if it's a one-for-one type transaction, I can see it. I can. Bobby Brink is a 5'8", 168 right-handed right winger, 24 years old, from Minnetonka, Minnesota, USA. So he's going home. He was drafted by Philadelphia 34th overall back in 2019. And I remember making a Why I Want video about this guy all the way back in the day, talking about his overall productivity in the USHL. He was way over a point per game, but the reason he didn't go in the first round is because he's not a great skater. There was always a clunkiness to the way that Bobby Brink moved, and there were some projectability issues as to whether or not that would actually fit him well in the National Hockey League. But with that said, Bobby Brink still got drafted by Philadelphia, 34th overall, and went on to become an NCAA stud, getting over a point per game with the Denver Pioneers in his junior year. Inevitably, he played in the AHL, started to produce over there, and then became a Philadelphia Flyer, scoring 41 points in 79 games last year. This year, he's got 26 points in 55 games, on pace for about 36 in 76. So, he is an NHL player, and he is a guy who's good enough for maybe 40 to 50 points on a good season. Long term, who really knows? He is only 24 at the moment. He's making $1.5 million till the end of the season, and this is a guy that seems to have that offensive touch that Minnesota is interested in. We've seen this out of the Minnesota Wild. There are guys on this team that may not have the best foot speed, but still find ways to do well offensively. I'm looking at a Vladimir Tarasenko, for example. He was criticized in his previous few years for his foot speed and his mobility. Bobby Brink might be in the same path. Of course, though, Tarasenko was a former superstar and a Stanley Cup winner at that, twice. Bobby Brink, if he ends up doing that with Minnesota, then of course he'll be carving out a new legacy for himself. Meanwhile, David Jiricek going over to Philadelphia, that is a very, very interesting acquisition here. 22-year-old right-handed defenseman, 6'3", 209 pounds, also signed on till the end of the year. Jiricek was the 6th overall pick just 4 years ago in 2022, with Columbus, for crying out loud. This is a guy who's already gotten traded twice because he just couldn't hang in the National Hockey League. Yes, it's true. Jiricek had 25 games played for the Minnesota Wild this season. A lot of that had to do with injuries. There were guys in and out of the lineup. But Jiricek had 2.5 full seasons with the Columbus Blue Jackets organization before getting sent over to Minnesota and playing in Iowa. Doesn't seem like he was really a fit there with the Wild organization. So to see him on his third team at just 22 years old, you might have to really start wondering what in the world is up with this guy and his development. Does he have what it takes to become an NHL player? Philadelphia could probably stand to use some younger D. Rasmus Ristolainen's name is in rumors. He could be gone later today. David Jiricek may be the in-soul replacement for what Ristolainen is. Noah Juulsen, chilling out there with the Flyers. Rick Tocchet obviously loves him. Maybe Tocchet is the right coach for a guy like David Jiricek. Who really knows? Keep in mind, this guy was taken 6th overall, and when you look at some of the guys that were drafted after him, this is where it starts to become a little bit funky for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Kevin Korchinski, okay, he is also an AHL caliber defenseman right now. But then you have some pretty good names like Marco Kasper, Matthew Savoy, Mintyukov's pretty good. You have Denton Matejchuk, who already is a full-time Columbus Blue Jacket. There are a number of names here that you can say would have been an upgrade over a David Jiricek at 6th. Although I'm not suggesting that it would have been reasonable to take a guy like Fraser Minton, for example, 6th overall when nobody had him ranked anywhere close. But with that said, this is a pretty interesting change of scenery type move, and I'm just wondering, what's the benefit that Philadelphia sees out of it? Because if you were to ask me, I'd say Bobby Brink, he's got a lot of value. I wouldn't have assumed David Jiricek is that same value. I'm just sitting here waiting to see what the actual return is. Ah yes, Renaud Lavoie saying, there's a good chance that Rasmus Ristolainen's traded later today because of the Jiricek deal. Trade is 1-for-1. Straight up swap. No other parts to it. Damn! There you go, Philadelphia insider Frank Saravalli going out there and representing his favorite team. As a Wild fan, can you tell me why I should be happy about getting Brink? Flyers fan, great motor. I love how he pushes play. We just have too many wingers. Ah, so that's why. The Flyers are operating from a place of surplus. They didn't really need Bobby Brink. So, send him away for a guy that's young, who will have himself some potential to grow, and who could, in theory, be the replacement for Rasmus Ristolainen. Really nice transaction over here. I like the deal for either side over here. It makes sense. I think both of these players will excel. Bobby Brink in a Minnesota Wild sweater might be the most motivated version of Bobby Brink we have seen to date. And I think a lot of Flyers fans and Minnesota Wild fans should be happy with this trade. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Bobby Brink and David Jiricek? I think, just tickling my memory a little bit, I think we did make Why I Want videos on both of these dudes back in the day. Brink in 2019 because he was playing for the Musketeers, and then of course Jiricek was playing for, what was it? Kladno? No, not Kladno. It was, it was Plitzen. I see. Definitely not the same team I was thinking of, but either way, it's a pretty good deal. I like it for either side. Brink and Jiricek both still have solid NHL futures. They're still young after all. And the Flyers and the Wild are making it a pretty nice change of scenery over here. Thoughts in the comment section below about Brink and Jiricek. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.